Good afternoon, everyone. This is our regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for El Paso Community College District, and today is Thursday, April 27th, and it is 4:30. This regular meeting is being held here in the Administrative Service Center located at 9050 Viscount Boulevard, Board of Trustees, Room A200, El Paso, Texas 79925, and will be viewed through the EPCC YouTube channel. Refer to the link https://www.youtube.com/user/go-EPCC. So this meeting is now called to order. Thank you for being here. Mr. Ortega, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Call the roll.
Will you go with the roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Uxer.
I'm here.
Mrs. Robles.
Here.
Mrs. Sanchez will be here shortly. Ms. Najera.
Here.
Dr. Graham.
Here.
Item 1.3, executive session. Those items will be addressed later in the meeting. Item 1.4, approval of minutes. These are for the January 23rd regular meeting, the February 23rd regular meeting, the March 9th special Board of Trustees meeting, and the March 23rd regular Board of Trustees meeting.
We have a motion.
I move to approve the minutes
Second.
as listed.
Any discussion? No? Motion made by Ms. Robles, seconded by Ms. Najera.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Najera.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye. So again, welcome to the regular board meeting. Do we have anyone signed up for the open forum?
Yes, ma'am. We have Dr. Angie Morgan Thornton, who has signed up to speak.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Dr. Serrata, Board of Trustees, Cabinet members, esteemed colleagues, students, and community members. I'm Dr. Angie Morgan Thornton, adjunct faculty, founders and director of EPCC Mariachi Los Tejanos. With the limited time allotted, I will highlight the following. I come to you today to petition the reinstatement of the credit offering for mariachi for fall 2023 that unjustly has been canceled from the music department catalog for unclear reasons. This decision is silencing Hispanic cultural learning through music. I want to schedule a presentation demonstrating the value of our mariachi ensemble has positively contributed to the college, serving as ambassadors intercollegiately as well as the community, thus building strong partners in education. In the fall of 2009, I founded Mariachi Los Tejanos, which included a collaboration of credit students from various majors and community members through continuing education, thus representing a diverse representation of multiple ages, educational levels, professions, and music backgrounds. This eclectic group, which also includes staff members that have been using and utilizing their scholarships, they complement each other. Our mariachi enrollment steadily increased over the years, and the class was never canceled due to healthy enrollment. However, many restrictions were placed on the mariachi recruitment and community outreach recently. The community members cohort provides ensemble stability. Mariachi music comprises musical skill sets, vocals, and instrumentation that incorporate authentic indigenous, Caribbean, and Western European musical nuances. This is so important to our El Paso community to have such a precious art form through music and preservation of our cultural heritage. Los Tejanos has collaborated in multidisciplinary collegiate and community events. Two of the most highlights have been our recent collaboration with University of Texas Permian Basin on March the 25th here at El Paso Community College, as well as the Policia Federales that came in 2018 here at the Valle Verde campus giving a presentation with our students. And it serves as a pathway in higher education for more Hispanic students. Incorporating a mariachi program also supports language acquisition, cultural preservation, as I had stated, and increased student success through arts education. In over 30 years of professional teaching, I have seen the emergence of mariachi education grow from after-school clubs to co-curricular classes, and now degree plans that are offered at other institutions. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to your support.
Thank you.
Are we allowed to ask questions?
Not on the open forum, sir.
Okay.
We're not allowed to ask questions, but Dr. Serrata, can we see if we can schedule a time where she can make her presentation to us?
Sure.
We put it at the next board meeting?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
With the emphasis on why.
Anybody else? Do we have?
That's all I have received so far, Dr. Graham.
Thank you. So 1.7?
Item 1.7, presentations by individuals, groups, and organizations. Item 1.7.1, Ms. Lily Limon, Secretary of the Mexican American Cultural Institute, MASI, will present banners honoring EPCC leaders and present information on the history and education field of STARS Campo de Estrellas project. Flags have been created in honor of Dr. William Serrata, President, Ms. Belen Robles, Trustee, Mr. Gabriel Gaitan, artist and former EPCC employee, and in memoriam of Dr. Alfredo de los Santos, the first EPCC and first Hispanic president of a community college, to commemorate history and serve as a source of pride and inspiration for future generations.
Good afternoon, Dr. Serrata and members of the board. It is such an honor to be here with you today, and this was made possible by one of your own, Dr. Carrie Moe. A few months ago, I reached out to her and told her that the Mexican American Cultural Institute, or MASI, was would be developed at the Lincoln Center, a building that has had much history with great intent over the years to demolish it. Hector Gonzalez is the president of the Lincoln Park Conservation Committee. And Corinne Chacon, who is with us also, is our incredible graphic designer. The three of us met, and she brought forth an idea of what if we were to have commemorative flags of different people in our community. And we wanted to select people that are unsung heroes. Someone that is continuously recognized sort of didn't quite fit in our plan at the beginning. And so these flags are designed to be a visible image. We foresee these flags going to different schools, and what you will notice is that each flag, once it's completed, will have a barcode, a QR code. They'll go to the schools. I can envision in auditoriums, large cafeterias, where the children can be brought in to look at them. Just the display of colors is an incredible thing. But they can take their cell phone, because every one of them has a cell phone. And they can get that code, and immediately they can have the history, the information, the background on each one of the persons that's featured on that flag. So we're going to begin, and we're going to share with you, and I thought we would go back in history. So Dr. de los Santos overcame many battles, and we're so thankful to the work that he did, that this is the flag, and all of these flags went through a review. Dr. Moe reviewed them, gave recommendations, and so this is the final product. So this is Dr. de los Santos. This is a young Dr. de los Santos, as you can tell if you knew him. But you'll see all of the different honors that he received that we were able to put on here. The sponsor in each flag, and these 4 flags are sponsored by El Paso Community College. So when they go to the different campuses, people will see who made this whole project come to be a reality. Then we went with a lady, and that is Belén Robles. And this is the next flag. Belén has this honor of being the national LULAC president and still a very important part of the LULAC community. She's Miss Terrific, outstanding, amazing, as she likes to say, and it goes on to show her beginning at Bowie High School and all that she has contributed to our community. The next one is someone that worked for many, many years, and he walked in here and it was like a reunion, and that's Gabriel Gaitan. And this is a representation of some of his work, some of the things that he has done, and he's here in the audience today as well. And then the young community college president that came to us a few years ago, although now it seems like a lifetime. And we're so proud of all the work and everything that you represent and how you move the college forward. And this is Dr. Serrates. So we share these with you today to show that you have become a part of the Mexican American Cultural Institute. These you will pretty soon see in different locations. If you ever have a need or would like to have them on display, especially like in Diversity Month or any kind of activity, the flags, and we're up to how many today? 42. We have 42 flags of different individuals, and we're trying to cover all the different fields: political, historical, trailblazers, educators. There's just a whole gamut of different people that we're going to be having here. So we wanted to present these to you today and hope that you're just as proud as we are of the work that has been done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Linda. I think Ms. Robles and Dr. Serrata need a picture with her. Thanks.
The 3 of them. También que Lily se ponga ahí, ellos están bueno.
Lily, you don't want to join him?
Lily, get in there with them. Yes, please. Go, Miss Limon, go. The 3 of you. Tener el señor.
Now we can take.
I'm just going to say a few words as the founder of the Field of Stars, Campo de Estrellas. Greetings to all of you, especially from Judge Chacon, who is my mother. She sends everyone congratulations for your service and a strong hug, all right, for just making it through. I just wanted to add that your commitment to the future is exceptional. And we know that you're handling difficult decisions with tremendous deliberation, compassion, and the highest levels of expertise. And it just proves that those who fought for the community college knew what they were doing. They knew that it was a worthy, very worthy endeavor. And so many lives have been transformed. Now, I don't want to throw down a challenge, but I'm going to have to, okay? For Hispanic heritage, we would love to be able to display the 60 flags. By then, we'll have 60 flags. We would love to be able to display them here at this campus, because plans are already underfoot for them to be on display for 2 weeks at the Centennial Museum at UTEP. And I think it's only appropriate that this be here in these neighborhoods for these students. So I will leave that thought planted with you. We have a list of 111 names, so there are still 60, 70 names to go, and we're still looking for sponsors. So thank you all so much for all that you do. You all are so important to this community, and we see you and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And give your mother our love, please.
Item 1.7.2, Dr. William Sarata, College President, will recognize individuals who have retired from El Paso Community College.
Holy moly.
Good evening, Dr. Graham and members of the board. This is certainly a bittersweet moment for many of us at the institution. I have the pleasure of recognizing Vice President Josette Shaughnessy on her well-earned retirement. The college would have been lucky to have her for a few years, but to have had Ms. Shaughnessy for 3 decades has certainly been an honor for the college. A native of France and an El Pasoan since 1976, Josette Shaughnessy started her career at El Paso Community College, first as a student who received an Associate of Applied Science in Accounting in 1981. She credits her preference for El Paso Community College as the best place to start to professors like Darrell Troyer, English professor, and Jesus Aguilar, math professor, who both gave her the confidence and the support she needed while navigating the college culture and caring for her firstborn daughter. Her success with El Paso Community College encouraged her to pursue her Bachelor's of Business Administration in Accounting at UTEP, which she received when her second daughter was 9 months old. While she worked in the private sector in a variety of accounting positions in the manufacturing, oil and gas, and construction industries, she pursued her Certified Public Accountant Texas license, which she earned in 1990. After meeting Ms. Carol Fairchild at a professional associations gathering in September 1991, she accepted a part-time position as special projects accountant to support Ms. Fairchild, who was acting vice president for financial services at EPCC. In June 1992, Ms. Shaughnessy was promoted to Associate Comptroller for Financial Operations and then Comptroller in January 1993. In 1995, as she was graduating with a Master's of Accounting from UTEP, she was appointed to the position of Associate Vice President for Financial and Information Services, a position that was eventually retitled Associate Vice President for Financial and Budget Services in 1999 as a result of reorganization. Since then, Ms. Shaughnessy has served twice as Interim Vice President of Administration and Financial Operations for the district. She became Permanent Vice President of Financial and Administrative Operations and CFO in January 2016. And since then, she has had the oversight of budget and financial services, diversity and inclusion programs, employee relations, human resources, human resource development, purchasing and contract management, physical plant, and the district's operating budget of over $158 million. Ms. Shaughnessy has been active in the El Paso community by serving a 6-year term as a member and treasurer of the YWCA board, as well as president and currently treasurer of the Alliance Francesa de El Paso. She has also represented EPCC on the El Paso Consolidated Tax Advisory Committee. She has served in several state organizations, including board president of the Texas Association of Community College Business Officers and board member of the Government Treasurers Organization of Texas. She also taught accounting on a part-time basis at EPCC between 2002 and 2013. In 2012, she was a recipient of the NISOT Award, and in 2018 was inducted into the El Paso's Women's Hall of Fame business category. Aside from being fluent in her native language, she perfected 2 other languages, English and Spanish, by living in England and Spain right after graduating from high school. Ms. Shaughnessy is married to Mr. Tom Shaughnessy, a native El Pasoan and a Vietnam veteran, and they have 2 daughters, Janine, a graduate of the University of Houston, currently living in France with her husband and their 2 children, and Lorraine, a graduate of Rice University and the University of Miami, currently living in Hawaii with her husband and their 2 cats. In retirement, Ms. Shaughnessy plans on spending more time with her family, especially her grandchildren, who want to see her on a more lasting basis. She's also looking forward to taking advantage of lifelong learning opportunities such as taking fun classes at EPCC and staying physically and mentally active while traveling with her husband. We honor your nearly 32 years of excellent service to our team and celebrate the legacy of hard work and commitment you leave behind. After everything you've done for the college, it's only fair for you to share your efforts with others in the world. We wish you the best on your new endeavors. It has certainly been a privilege to work with someone who is so passionate. Congratulations, Vice President Shaughnessy. Of course.
I will try not to take too much of your time, but I thought it was important that I do address this audience. And I do apologize. I was telling myself you will not cry, but this certainly demonstrates the love that I have for this institution and for all of you. And thank you so much for your support throughout the years. Thank you so much, Dr. Serrata, for wishing me well on this new chapter of my life. I know Mr. Haggerty, if he's listening, Dr. Graham, Ms. Sanchez, Mrs. Robles, Ms. Narera, Mr. Uxer, and Ms. Pina, if she's listening. I would be remiss if I did not thank you for the confidence and the trust that you have placed in me over the years. I treasure my 31-plus years at EPCC and appreciate all the opportunities afforded to me since I started as special projects accountant. I've come a long way, baby. Dr. Serrata, I publicly want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to grow as Vice President of Financial and Administrative Operation, and hopefully make a difference not only with the division, but also the college as a whole. I have been very fortunate to serve under your leadership and with your consistent support that allowed me to do my job to the best of my abilities. Serving as Associate Vice President of Budget and Financial Services for 20 years was a true accomplishment for me, and I do want to thank Dr. Barrera publicly for giving me that opportunity, because she did have the same confidence and trust in me. But serving as Vice President has truly been an honor and privilege that I will cherish for many years to come. I also want to pay a special tribute to my leadership team, who's been my rock for many years. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge my office staff, Executive Office Manager Juanita Martinez and Administrative Assistant Jackie Cabral for their loyal support and friendship, as well as Sandy McHare, who's retired now and was my Executive Office Manager for many years and supported me throughout those years. AVP Flores and all the directors on my team who are so dedicated to the college by striving for excellence and who have worked alongside of me through the easy and difficult times. I am proud of my division's accomplishment during my tenure, and I am confident that my leadership team will continue supporting the college and the students it serves. I also want to thank my cabinet colleagues, past and present, for their support and understanding during challenging times. Being the gatekeeper is not always a very popular role, as you know, but someone's got to do it. So I do thank you for your patience and understanding whenever we were navigating turbulent times. I have learned a lot from you and will treasure the good memories that we have shared over the years. Last but certainly not least, I want to express my sincere appreciation and love for my family. My husband, Tom, who is in the audience, who's been anxiously waiting for this day. He is the one that was keeping a calendar in the kitchen since early March and counting the days to April 30th. Correct? My daughters, Janine and Lorraine, who have patiently respected my decision on a retirement date. Now they can count on me more, on us more, to be with our grandchildren, Elena and Luca, and our grandkiddies, Monkey and Addie. I am certainly looking forward to spending more time with them or visiting friends in Hawaii. EPCC has certainly been, for me, the best place to start as a student and the best place to finish my career. I am very grateful to everyone who has supported me throughout the years, and I wish you all well and continued success. So thank you so much.
Another day of work.
What an honor to have your staff here. Congratulations again. You'll continue attending the meetings, right?
Item 1.7.3, optional presentations will be made by the presidents of the Classified Staff Association, the Professional Staff Association, the Faculty Association, and the Student Government Association.
Good evening, Dr. Serrata, and esteemed board members, staff, and guests. The Student Government Association attended the Region 1 meeting in Amarillo, Texas on March 3rd and 4th. We had the opportunity to learn more about parliamentarian procedure, as well as team bonding methods. On April 13th through the 16th, we were able to attend the Texas Junior College Student Government Association Convention in Dallas, Texas, where we were able to have the opportunity to network with students from all over the state. Our members served on all 5 of the committees at the convention, which included awards, nominations, judicial, resolutions, and constitution and bylaws committees. I would also like to highlight that Vice President Armando Baca won 3rd place for Student of the Year. SGA elections for our next term have concluded. For the positions of senators, we have Kadaya I. Butler and Dimitri Lingi. For the position of Mission Del Paso Campus Rep, we have Christian A. Pariente Avila. For historian, we have Miroslava A. Ruiz Sanchez. For vice president, we have Denise Ayuso Sigala. And our SGA president for the 2023-2024 term is Janelle Contreras. I would like to congratulate these students as they will continue our work in student government. On the behalf of the Student Government Association, we would like to invite you to attend this year's SGA and SOC Awards Banquet. The banquet will be held May 3rd this year at the DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel. We look forward to seeing you there. And lastly, it was my honor being the Student Government Association president this year at El Paso Community College. I will be graduating May 12th and transferring to UTEP to pursue a bachelor. I look forward to seeing you all one last time at our banquet. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
It's getting tougher to follow these acts. These great flags, Josette, the graduation. Ouch. I'm going to ask to go first next time. If the faculty members here would come up, I'd appreciate it. Brought my posse. That's probably the toughest presentation I've had to give to y'all. Members of the board, Mr. President, Vice Presidents, Deans, guests in the room, guests on YouTube. The ruling political party in the Texas legislature has introduced 3 bills currently working their way through the legislature, which, if passed, have the potential of casting a chilling pall over public higher education in Texas. Senate Bills 16 and 18 would stifle free speech and academic freedom in the classroom, while Senate Bill 17 would eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion on campuses. SB 16 purports to being, quote, committed to creating an environment of intellectual inquiry and academic freedom and intellectual diversity so that all students are respected and educated regardless of race, sex, ethnicity, or social, political, or religious background or belief. However, the bill also states, rather hypocritically, that, quote, a faculty member may not compel or attempt to compel a student to adopt a belief that any race, sex, ethnicity, or social, political, or religious belief is inherently superior to any other race, sex, ethnicity, or belief. According to the bill, if a faculty member violates this, quote, the institution shall discharge the faculty member. Well, just exactly what is meant by compelling students to adopt a particular belief. Since, according to Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, all college instructors are loony Marxist professors, did y'all know that? We must all be teaching Marxism. Well, should we happen to teach and discuss Marxism during the flow of a course, will that be construed by our enlightened Lieutenant Governor as attempting to force our students to adopt and embrace Marxism? To quote my history colleague and very good friend Michael Gonzalez, I cannot get students to read the course syllabus, let alone reading Karl Marx's Das Kapital. Course syllabus, I don't know, like 5 pages. Das Kapital, 1,000 pages, and that's only volume 1. Oops, sorry. In the World War II section of my History 1302 course, if I tell students that Nazis are evil, will the ruling political party in Texas claim that I am forcing students to believe that? After all, the twice impeached former president stated that there are, quote, very fine Nazis. No! There are no very fine Nazis. Nazis are evil. And I will continue to emphasize that, possibly in violation of SB 16. If I state that the current Republican Party is no longer the party of Abraham Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, Dwight Eisenhower, Ronald Reagan, but instead is now a party led by a traitorous, insurrectionist, dictator wannabe, will I be in violation of SB 16? Or suppose I emphasize that slavery was the greatest social ill in the history of the United States, or that slavery was a, quote, positive good, to quote the pro-slave John C. Calhoun. Will I be in violation of SB 16? As to Senate Bill 18, which states, and I quote, an institution of higher education may not grant an employee of the institution tenure or any type of permanent employment status. This bill is seeking to end tenure in all Texas public colleges and universities. Tenure, along with free speech and academic freedom, allows faculty to teach their courses as they see fit without the threat of Big Brother in the form of the Lieutenant Governor and the ruling political party looking over their shoulders, ready to pounce on them and fire them for any perceived violation of SB 16. To paraphrase the Declaration of Independence, the Lieutenant Governor and the ruling political party seek to make faculty dependent on their will alone for the tenure of their positions. They will erect new offices, such as the Liberty Institute, to send hither swarms of officers to harass our faculty and to eat out their substance. They will plunder campuses, ravage our curriculum, destroy the sacred liberties of our faculty. We must protect ourselves and our beloved EPCC from these invasions of complete and utter intolerance. Regarding Senate Bill 17, which will outlaw diversity, equity, and inclusion offices at Texas colleges and universities. This is another example of the complete hypocrisy of the ruling political party. That party claims to advocate small government and local control, such as the Board of Trustees over schools. If a Texas college or university wishes to have a diversity, equity, and inclusion office, that should be their right. Instead, the supposed anti-mandate ruling political party is now seeking a mandate to outlaw DEI offices. Such hypocrisy. The Lieutenant Governor and his ruling party want government to interfere and control everything that goes on in Texas public and colleges, universities, and not for the better. In light of SB 16, 17, and 18, the EPCC Faculty Senate, some of the members are here today, held a special meeting on Monday, April 17, 2023, at which those present voted unanimously to oppose these bills, which are nothing less than blatant attacks on our livelihood and profession by, and I quote President Woodrow Wilson, a little group of willful men representing no opinion but their own. These bills must be defeated, or freedom in higher education will suffer a slow and excruciating death in Texas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Item 1.8, communications. Item 1.8.1, discussion and review of data, statistics, policies, and general information related to El Paso Community College by the Board of Trustees.
Okay.
There we go. Speaking of the legislature, I'd like to provide Dr. Graham and members of the board with an update of where we are with the legislature. The bills that Dr. Burnham references are part of the bills that we continue to track. Chief among the items that colleges are looking at are the redesigning the way that Texas community colleges are funded within the state. This was House Bill 8. So some context with regards to the state of Texas. We have the 9th largest economy in the world. We're home to about 14.5 million individuals that are part of the civilian and labor force within our respective state. We have 53 Fortune 500 companies that call Texas home. We continue to be a leader in job creation, just short of 695,000 jobs that were created in 2021. And we're considered the #1 U.S. exporter for 20 years in a row, with about $375 billion of goods and services exported in 2021. The Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas has authored this report. It is an excellent report. It is available on the web. All Eyes on Texas Community Colleges focus on preparing the workforce of tomorrow. This is just one quote from the respective report that indicates that many of the more than 4 million jobs the state expects to add in the next 15 years will require a bachelor's degree or more. But there will also be a continued need for what some call, those some are no one at the institution, but what some call middle-tier workers, those that need more than a high school diploma, but less than a baccalaureate degree. And so this is an area that the 50 community colleges will continue to serve. Community colleges in Texas comprise 43% of all higher education enrollments in the state of Texas. This is post-pandemic. Pre-pandemic, we comprised about 47%. We were the largest sector of higher education within the state of Texas. We're very close to that once again. We're slightly lower than the universities. We award 93% of all career and technical degrees and certificates that are awarded in the state of Texas. The Texas State Technical Colleges and the Lamar Institutes, they do a great job, but they award 7% of all of the career and technical credentials that are awarded through the state of Texas. The 50 community colleges award 93%. 94% of all dual credit enrollments are enrolled at the 50 community colleges. 69% of baccalaureate degrees in the state of Texas have some community college credit on their transcripts, and 34% of all baccalaureate degrees have at least 30 credit hours transferred in from a community college. In our region, 74% of the baccalaureate degrees that the University of Texas at El Paso confers has EPCC credit on their transcripts. Here's a snapshot of what enrollment looked like. You see the first column is certified 2019 enrollment. That was before the pandemic. As you can see, community colleges were 726,000 students. You see the reflection of public universities, the public and technical colleges. Those are the Lamars and the TSTCs. The health-related institutions, our medical schools, and then the independent colleges and universities. In the fall of 2020, obviously the pandemic was in full swing. Universities grew slightly, just short of 10,000 students. Community colleges really saw enrollment be impacted tremendously by the pandemic. Enrollment fell to about 650,000 students. In the fall of 2021, the universities actually saw a slight decline in enrollment to about 665,000. We saw a further decline amongst the 50 community colleges to about 639,500 students. And then in the fall of 22, we started to see a slow increase in enrollment. So community colleges are back up to 640,000 students, about a 0.2%. It was very similar. We saw about a 1.4% increase in the fall of 2022. The state of Texas is still short, approximately 65,000 students from where we were in the fall of 19. This is 4 years later, so we still have many students to recover, many students who chose to go into the workforce, where business and industry was paying $15, $16, up to $17 an hour for starting wages at entry-level positions. So we're looking at shifting to nearly 100% outcomes-based model. And so a lot of my colleagues are asked, are you in support of an outcomes-based model? And I'm happy to say all 50 community colleges are in support of an outcomes-based model. And the reason is the 50 community colleges have been focused on this for over 2 decades. So you see in 2001, the 50 community colleges awarded just over 37,000 degrees and certificates. By 2011, that had increased to over 77,000 degrees and certificates. And by 2021, we were awarding over 124,000 degrees and certificates. We've been focused on completion. We've been focused on ensuring that students get to the finish line, never by sacrificing rigor, in fact, by increasing rigor and the expectations of our students. Our community colleges, all 50, are funded in the same 3 revenue sources throughout the state: state appropriations, local property taxes, and tuition and fees. This is a snapshot of how the 50 community colleges in aggregate are funded. And you see that local taxes comprised in 2021 about 47% of revenue for the 50 community colleges. Tuition and fees was about 30%. And state appropriations was about 23%. For context, at EPCC, state appropriations is just shy of 21% of our operating budget. So the Community College Finance Commission was moving forward. Mr. Hunt chaired this commission as appointed by Governor Abbott. They worked for about 14 months. They met 7 times face-to-face. They met several other times. They broke up into 3 working groups, and here are the recommendations that they came up with. So recommendation 1.1 is really focused on outcomes. It's credentials of value, credentials in high-demand fields, students who successfully transfer to the university, and then dual credit with a purpose, dual credit on a pathway to achieving a credential. They move forward, and they're going to have robust incentives for completions for students who are economically and educationally disadvantaged, as well as adult learners. Recommendation 1.2 is looking at foundational levels of funding or guaranteed yield for colleges that are in low tax areas. We would not be one of these institutions. We have the 10th largest tax base in the state of Texas, so we would not be in this position. But the legislature understood there are some community colleges, and they did an analysis. If you raise a penny of taxes across the 50 community colleges, it ranged in what it would, the revenue it would generate for students from $11 per full-time student to $1,100 per full-time student. Dallas was the district that if they raised taxes a penny, it would raise $1,100 for every full-time student that they have. And then finally, recommendation 1.3 would be that there'd be a hold harmless provision for a 2-year period. So no community college would see less revenue, that was less state appropriations than the 2021 session. Recommendation 2 is affordability for students. It would increase Texas Educational Opportunity Grants to where 70% of the students who apply for and qualify for TEOG grants would receive those TEOG grants. This is an investment of approximately $140 million to be able to get us up to 70%, which is where Texas grants are for the university sector. Recommendation 2.2 would provide financial aid for dual credit students. So students that are participating, that are on a pathway, that are economically disadvantaged, the state would provide the resources for those students to be able to take those courses. There would be a maximum tuition rate, and institutions that charge below that maximum tuition rate would receive state appropriations for those dual credit students. El Paso Community College charges, when we do not provide a faculty member, we waive all tuition and fees for our school districts. If we do provide a faculty, we charge $100 per student per course. That is below the recommended maximum tuition rate. So EPCC would qualify for economically disadvantaged students for what the state is calling the FAST program, Financial Aid for Swift Transfer. Finally, recommendation 2.3 would expand paid work-based learning for opportunities for students. Finally, recommendation 3 is investments in college capacities. This is codifying true Texas reskilling and upskilling through education. These would be seed grants for programs in high-demand fields. Again, there was $25 million in the 87th legislative session. This would codify that. Recommendation 3.2 would provide support and facilitate shared services amongst colleges. And recommendation 3.3 would provide high-quality non-credit credential programs that are convertible and stackable that the state would fund. And so we have submitted those reports to the state as well. So where are we with this process? So the 50 community colleges supported the recommendations that were put forth in November of 22. In January of 23, as the legislature opened for session in January the 10th, early in January, contingency riders in both the Senate and House-based budget bills, Senate Bill 1 and House Bill 1, included language that indicated $650 million of additional appropriations from the state would be added to the community college sector, contingent on the passage of legislation. It was also included in the governor's proposed state budget in his State of the State, which was delivered in February. In March, House Bill 8 was filed, as well as companion bill, Senate Bill 2539. The committee substitute was heard in the House and in the Senate in March, had the opportunity to testify in front of both of those respective committees. In April, on the third reading, the House passed House Bill 8 145-1. It was approved by the House and moved forward. It is pending its referral in the Senate. We anticipate that it will be heard next week in the Senate. And then May 29th is sine die for the legislative session. By that time, the budget will be approved, and we anticipate that we will have it approved. In the Senate, there are 23 co-authors. Chair Creighton, who was a commissioner and who is the chair of the Education Committee, as well as the chair of the Higher Education Subcommittee, is the lead author. He has 23 co-sponsors. You need 18 senators to pass a bill. We feel confident, knock on wood, until the bill is passed, but we anticipate that it will be passed. There's other, as you heard Dr. Burnham and our faculty, there's other bills, some good bills, some concerning bills. Obviously, you just heard Dr. Burnham reference Senate Bill 16, Senate Bill 17, and Senate Bill 18. You notice there are no companion bills. I think those are incredibly important from that respective viewpoint. But those are bills that have low bill numbers that the Lieutenant Governor has indicated are priorities. We continue to monitor those. The Texas Association of Community Colleges continues to monitor these. Senate Bill 2335 is on accreditation, and it would require colleges to switch accreditors anywhere from 15 to 20 years out. House Bill 3048 is on programs within service areas. This is a bill that is intended to allow the TSTCs to decide that they want to serve any respective community in the state of Texas. Texas Association of Community Colleges has spoken to Representative Rainey, who put forth this bill and has expressed our concerns with this bill and actually testified against this bill. House Bill 548 and Senate Bill 1201 are on community college IT credential. This reduces from baccalaureate credentials to associate credentials. The TEOG bill is House Bill 4722 and its companion Senate Bill 2363, which allows us to utilize Title IV Pell Grants as a match. The universities are allowed to do this with Texas Grant. This would allow institutions to meet the match and be able to distribute TEOG bills to those students that qualify. House Bill 4684 and its Senate companion are on clinical nursing sites. This particular bill is in reference to for-profit institutions offering to pay hospitals for clinical sites. This is something that would impact public institutions of higher education and those desperately needed clinical sites. And then finally, House Bill 3486 and its Senate companion are on the Texas Transfer Framework. There's a significant number of other bills that we continue to monitor. These rose to the level that I felt that the board needed to know about. We will continue to monitor them, and we will continue to prepare if these bills are passed. That is where we are with the legislative session. I'm happy to respond to any questions from any member of the board.
Yes, Dr. Serrata, thank you for the presentation. I think one of the things to mention was that you provided this presentation at the beginning of the session about a year ago. I think it was in the summer, and you were specifically asked to do that. So I think that is really reflective, I think, of the leadership here at El Paso. So thank you for that and all the work that has been done to move this forward. The question that I had on the recommendations, I know you had mentioned, okay, this codifies and solidifies that this is the amount of money that we will get, right? So is that only for this legislative session until the next one comes up?
That's a great question, Ms. Sanchez. And legislators have been quick to say, you know, we're in a unique position in the state of Texas. We have almost $33 billion of additional revenue. And they've been quick to say, you can't expect that you're going to receive $650 million more dollars every session. That's in addition to the $1.8 billion that the 50 community colleges receive. This would take us to about $2.5 billion from state appropriations. What we understand is the legislature, the resources that the legislature has will fluctuate as the economy fluctuates. What we have committed is that we will shift our funding mechanism from a seat time to an outcomes-based model. And so we go in with full understanding that we will now be judged about 95% of our budget from the state will be based on an outcomes model.
And is that reporting done when? After the academic year, or will it be done just in time for the next session? So
That's another great question. The rules, there was a community college funding advisory committee. That committee will no longer exist. There is a new committee that is a work group currently that the Commissioner of Higher Ed has appointed to develop the rules. This is all moving very quickly. So we have to wait for the legislation to pass. Once the legislation passes, then this work group will move forward with developing the rules that will be in place. There will be an emergency. Those have to be done by about the 1st of July. So that in August, the coordinating board will hold a special meeting to approve the rules. Commissioner Keller has asked that I chair that rules committee, and we're working with an additional 5 community college presidents. We have CFOs, chief financial officers that are on that committee, as well as institutional researchers. So there are 11 of us that will determine with the coordinating board staff the rules. Once the legislation is passed, we've already held our first meeting last week. We will continue to meet so that we can hit the ground running once the legislation passes.
Well, great. Well, I look forward to further reports, especially, and that was going to be my other question, whether or not we had representation on that rules committee. So it's great to hear that you'll be the chair of that board. So we'll expect some future reports and
if we can get it right, yes, ma'am.
Smooth sailing. But thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions, board members? I have one, sir. Can you, just for the benefit of our audience, explain the seat time to outcomes-based model?
Yeah, Dr. Graham, absolutely. So, and in reference to Ms. Sanchez's, it fits in the same way. So we do state reports every fall, every spring, every summer. Actually, this is where I started my career, was doing state reports. And so the CBM 001, as well as the 004, the 001 is students, the 004 is classes. And so essentially what we would do is we would be measured based on the number of students that we had in classes. So the number of students as well as the number of credit hours, every single course that the college offers, depending on general academic transfer courses, as well as career technical education, based on the contact hours that a student has to sit in that respective course, is the funding that we would receive on that course. So it's not just that part, but then the state turns around and measures the success of those students, as well as who was there on the first day of class, or the 12th day of class rather, and who was there at the end of the semester. So it is essentially a seat time kind of, it was based on participation. Now it's shifting from that. So now head count is not as important to the state. It's much more important on how many students do you graduate and what fields are they graduating in. They'll turn around and look at the level of pay that these respective students earn based on the field of study, and those are how the state will now fund us. It is really ensuring that we provide the pipeline of talent that business and industry needs. And regardless of your field of study, even the artist has to pay the bills, and so it is looking at the ultimate job that the student ends up in, the kind of revenue that those students earn. Those will be added to this funding mechanism as that data becomes available.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Cram.
Any other questions? No? Well, we appreciate you keeping us updated on this and always providing such good data.
Thank you, Dr.
Yes, sir.
Item 1.9, Board of Trustees business. Items 1.9.1 through 1.9.3 will be discussed after executive session. Item 1.9.4, discussion and take possible action regarding changing the Board of Trustees meeting dates.
Just to add, we're also going to take item 7.1 to executive.
Yeah, when we hit that
Go
item,
to that one?
we'll say that.
Okay. Okay. This 1.9.4?
I believe that for the May meeting, there was no change of date, and Dr. Serrata, I think we talked about a possible date change in June.
Yep. Dr. Graham and members of the board, we do have a conflict in June. I will work with the board and send out a poll to see the possibilities and work with each of the respective board members, in particular with Judge Haggerty not being here today, to propose potential dates for the board to consider.
Well, what date are we regularly scheduled for?
We're scheduled currently, Ms. Sanchez, for June the 28th.
So we are saying that's already a conflict?
It is.
So do you need us to make a decision right now?
If the board chooses to.
Yeah, I think we should.
I'm open for whatever date, so whatever works for anybody else.
Dr. Serrata, do you have any proposed dates in mind already?
So the date that looks currently the best in the month of June is Friday, June 30th. But I want to make sure that that works with the board.
It works with me. Does it work with you?
Works with me?
Same.
Okay, sir? Ms. Robles?
It's a Friday. You know what, I don't have my calendar. Believe it or not.
We'll have to
So
check with Ms. Robles.
we have 4 that are available on June the 30th. We'll tentatively schedule it. Let's schedule it June the 30th. Thank you.
Do you need a motion?
Yes.
We need a motion.
Motion?
So I make a motion that we schedule the June board meeting for June 30th.
Second? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
She seconded.
Call the question, please.
Mr. Uxer?
Aye.
Mrs. Robles?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez?
Aye.
Ms. Naheda?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye. And we'll make sure and inform Judge Hegarty.
Yes, ma'am. Item 1.10, Board Reports. Item 1.10.1, Treasurer's Report, no action is required. Item 1.10.2, President's Report. Item 1.10.2.1, Dr. William Sarata, College President, will update the Board of Trustees and audience on recent events that have transpired at El Paso Community College to include an update on the COVID-19 pandemic and appropriate actions taken.
Good evening, Dr. Graham and members of the board. I'll begin my report by congratulating Jesus Guerrero, an EPCC student and former president of the EPCC Philosophy Club, who won first place in the Pathophysiology at the Texas Health Occupation Students of America competition. He competed against the top universities in Texas, representing Texas Tech's Health and Science Center in El Paso. Mr. Guerrero obtained his bachelor's degree in biology at Sol Ross State University and is about to finish his associate's in philosophy at EPCC. Congratulations on this great accomplishment. I would like to congratulate Ashley Trojanowski, a biology major student who was named a semifinalist for the prestigious Jack Kent Cook Undergraduate Transfer Scholarship. The scholarship is awarded to community college students who have demonstrated exceptional academic ability, leadership and service, and a determination to complete their bachelor's degrees at top four-year institutions. Ashley was chosen as a semifinalist from a pool of more than 1,700 applicants. She plans to continue majoring in biology and will use the scholarship funds when she transfers to the University of San Francisco. The Cook Transfer Scholarship is designed to create a clear pathway to a four-year degree by offering up to $55,000 per year, along with academic advising and access to a network of peers. Congratulations, Ashley, for this great achievement. We wish her the very best as she continues her studies. Continuing my congratulations, I would like to recognize Arlen Carrillo and Daniel Banderon, Northwest Early College High School seniors. The pair have earned the prestigious Full-Ride Terry Scholarship to attend UTEP this fall. The foundation hopes that through education, these students will go on to make significant contributions, not only in Texas, but in the nation. Congratulations, Arlene and Daniel. Congratulations to the EPCC Drama Department, who successfully put on the most recent one-act play productions entitled Laundry and Bourbon and Lone Star. These performances were held at the Trans Mountain Forum Theater and took place over 2 weekends in March with approximately 300 audience members in attendance. The cast and crew included 12 EPCC students and 1 community theater actress. The sound for the production was designed and operated by Shanna Klein, an EPCC student who worked on her 4th theater production designing sound. All the credit for the show's success goes to the fantastic cast, crew, and the 2 faculty members responsible for the performance, Mr. Ted Carver and Mr. Dominic Pagano. Great job to everyone. The EPCC Forum Theater hosted El Paso chapter of the National Society of Arts and Letters Drama Competition on Saturday, March 25th. These competitions are designed to offer exposure for young artists who want to be heard and seen by professional critics, managers, producers, teachers, the media, and arts patrons. 2 EPCC theater graduates received top honors after transferring to local universities. Omar Moreno at NMSU received first place, and Ava Truesdale from UTEP received second place. Monetary prizes for the first 3 finalists totaled $1,000, earning $500 for the first and $300 for the second. Congratulations to our graduates and everyone involved. Almost 150 educators from the region convened to present, network, and meet local authors at the Border Learning Conference, the first entirely in-person conference since 2019. The conference was held at the Mission del Paso's new Flexitorium Hall and featured Alfredo Corchado, EPCC alum, journalist, and author, as the BLC's Crossing Borders Award winner. Dr. Claudia Cervantes soon kicked off the conference with her keynote address by sharing her perspective from growing up in Ciudad Juarez to her current role at ASU. Special thank you to the steering committee under the leadership of Dr. Fariba Ansari and Dean Joshua Villalobos for hosting the conference. Congratulations on the fantastic turnout. Dr. Nader Rasai, coordinator of the Pharmacy Technology Program, was appointed to the ASHP and ACPE Board of Directors as a Pharmacy Technician Accreditation Commission member for a 3-year term. He will be tasked to promote, ensure, and advance the quality of pharmacy technician education and training programs in the United States. The Pharmacy Technician Accreditation Commission advises the ASHP and ACPE boards on measures to ensure standardized quality pharmacy technician education and training programs. Congratulations to Dr. Razi. On this appointment, I'm sure that you'll provide both the ASHP as well as the ACPE boards with great advice, expertise, and knowledge about pharmacy tech education nationwide. Since the last board meeting, I've participated in over 80 virtual and/or in-person meetings, including 8 Texas Association of Community College meetings, a TAC and CAT meeting, a legislative committee meeting, 2 officers meetings, a Business Advisory Council quarterly meeting, a TAC quarterly board meeting, and a Business Advisory Council chairs briefing, as well as a data runs informational webinar with the Commissioner of Higher Ed. I attended the Aspen Rising Presidential Fellowship at Stanford University, attended the Lumina Board Retreat in Washington, D.C., and attended the Changemakers event luncheon to recognize the hard work of women elected officials. Congratulations to Dr. Graham, Ms. Sanchez, Ms. Nahida, and Mrs. Robles for being recognized for this public service and dedication. I participated in the AACC National Conference in Denver, Colorado, the MCA annual meeting, trellis strategy interview, and a briefing regarding the EPCC and UTEP engineering program. Attended an El Paso Collaborative for Academic Excellence board meeting, attended the Texas Student Success Council meeting, and a discussion on manufacturing education program with the Borderplex Alliance. Presented at my annual town hall meetings at each campus, where I was able to share future plans, new facilities, highlights, and achievements from the college, our students, our faculty, and staff, and participated in the Achieving the Dream site visit. Also attended the El Paso Opportunity Youth and Young Adults Network meeting. Presented virtually at the First Economic Symposium for Texas Community Colleges, and I attended a Federal Reserve Bank board meeting. I'd like to conclude my report, and actually I'm going to have one more thing to touch on at the conclusion of this, but by providing a COVID update. Unfortunately, we continue to see a downward trend in daily cases. We're currently averaging 103 cases per day, slightly lower than the 107 cases we averaged in the prior 2-week period. We currently stand at 84.7% of our population age 5 or older fully vaccinated, and 99.9% of our population having received their first vaccination. The 7-day average hospitalization rate is now reported daily. It currently stands at 2.00%. Our daily cases continue to see a downward trajectory, again currently averaging 103. The most significant metric is the 7-day average hospitalization rate, which currently stands at 2%. The benchmark for this rate is 15% and will adjust accordingly if we approach 15% in our community. My recommendation to the board is that we continue in phase 4 of our return to campus plan. We've had that in place since Monday, August 15th of 2022. Phase 4 of our return to campus plan has the college operating at full capacity. We'll continue to monitor the data and keep the Board of Trustees informed on any recommended changes for your consideration. Given that the Biden administration has declared that the pandemic is over, that occurred on April 10th, I would recommend to the board that we cease this segment of my report to the board. I'd like to thank Dr. Peña, Mr. Padilla, Ivan Flores, Ms. Milena Field, Ms. Audrey Ortegon, as they've provided sound counsel and guidance to me to recommend to the board, as well as to all of the cabinet members and so many others at the institution that have been involved in our preparation and our response to the COVID outbreak. I'm pleased that we've gotten to where we are. I do not believe that, given the Biden administration moving forward with declaring that the pandemic is over, that it is in our best interest to move forward with that report any longer. Finally, we do have a video, and so I want to touch on this before we go through with the video. The Jenna Welsh and Laura Bush Community Library celebrated 20 years. It was established in 2003 by an intergovernmental agreement between the City of El Paso and El Paso Community College as a combination of an academic and public library. Until then, the community in far northwest El Paso had no library service available within a 10-mile radius. The community library provides year-round children and teen programming and is the only public library serving Canutillo families. We're proud of this innovative collaboration between the City of El Paso's El Paso Public Library and EPCC's Northwest Campus Library, which has served the academic needs of our students, advanced literacy, and a love of reading through its programs, as well as creating a college-going culture for our community. Kudos to Ms. Laura Lee Ambriz, our head librarian of the community library, for this partnership, and I know that we have a video to share with the board.
Welcome and thank you for joining us at the 20th anniversary of the Jenna Welsh and Laura Bush Community Library at the Northwest Campus of El Paso Community College.
Before this library, this community in far northwest El Paso had no library service available within a 10-mile radius. The community library provides year-round children and teen programming and is the only public library serving Canutillo families. Expanding access to resources for underserved populations requires a multifaceted approach that considers the specific needs and challenges faced by these communities. By working together and leveraging the strengths of different stakeholders, it is possible to create more equitable access to resources and opportunities.
And now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor and City Council of the City of El Paso that April 14th, 2023 shall be known as the Jenna Welch and Laura Bush Community Library Day, signed by the Honorable Mayor Oscar Leeser. Congratulations, y'all.
With globalized economies and emerging technologies changing both the educational landscape and the employment landscape, enhanced technology and collaborative learning spaces for students has become increasingly important. The Jenna Welsh and Laura Bush Community Library at the Northwest Campus of El Paso Community College provides high-quality and innovative programming that not only serves EPCC students, but the entire community.
Partnerships is just so important in our community in terms of helping us to move our community forward. And this has been one of the most special ones that we've had as a library in our system.
And the depth of the partnership that this library has had and the impact that this library has had on our district. You are the reason, this library is the reason for our success. Last night, I had the opportunity to talk to a teacher of Northwest Early College High School, and I asked her to share with me a little bit about the impact that this library has had on you as a teacher and on your students. And she said, "Oh my God, this library saves our lives."
Everybody did their best to help other people.
Everybody has mentioned the shared resources is the most beneficial for all, because our students can access the public library resources and the community users can access the EPCC resources.
Thank you so much for all the work you do through the years. You have opened opportunities and windows for kids like mine. They took advantage of everything here.
I get to learn a new subject. For example, from my coding class, I have become an excellent coder. I'm from a screen's writing class. It has inspired me to become an author. I think that these things will help me reach my ultimate goal, becoming an astronaut. However, I have more subjects to discover from this amazing camp. This camp also provides me opportunities to make new friends. And I'm sure that I will make new friends in the future.
And since the first day, we feel so welcome, so happy. The staff is wonderful. And my kids and me, we were surprised of how many treasures you can find at the library.
We hope to see you at the library in the future. This is your home. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for that report and that video. It was nice, very nice.
Item 1.11, consent docket. This includes item 3.2.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve consent?
Second?
Motion made. No discussion? Okay, call the question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Mrs. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Section 2, administration, no action is required. This is for information only. Item 2.1, 30 TASB legal policies presented for information.
I'd just like to take a minute to thank Dr. Penley for all the work she did in keeping us awake for several nights, reading all these policies. But we accomplished a lot. There's a lot of them. I do have some questions, but it's mostly, there's so many reports and things that have to be implemented that we need to maybe later revisit if anybody else has any concerns so that we don't delay the meeting. But it's just, I'm worried about who's going to implement all of this because it's a lot of changes. But thank you for all the work you did on that.
Okay. Section 3, personnel. Item 3.1, discussion and action to approve full-time staff and faculty recruited in positions funded by the institutional budget.
Motion to approve?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? No? Call the question.
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Item 3.3, information items, resignations and retirements, no action is required. Section 4, financial services. Item 4.1, discussion and action on the approval of a contract with Pepsi Beverage Company to provide district-wide sales of beverages through vending machines and sales through soft drink post-mix fountain beverage dispensers.
Do we have any discussion on this? Do we need a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
No discussion? I think I just have one question, Dr. Serrata. What is the benefit is there any benefit for us providing that other than making it available to the students? Do these companies contribute anything to the college?
They do, Dr. M, and I'll ask Ms. Shaughnessy to brief the board.
Yes, Dr. Graham, and Pepsi Company has been actually a partner for many years, right now, 22 years. And so they do provide, aside from the commissions that do support the auxiliary fund, they do provide scholarships and sponsorship for our students.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Other question?
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Item 4.2, discussion and action on waiving the acceptance of pilot funds from the Housing Opportunity Management Enterprises Home to be redirected to the YWCA for the provision of daycare services to EPCC students in the amount of $1,696.47.
Move to approve?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Other
Mr.
question?
Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Ms. Naheda,
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Item, let's see, 6.1, Section 5, physical facilities, there are none. Section 6, curriculum and instruction. Item 6.1, discussion and action on the acceptance of a grant award from the Texas Mutual Insurance Company in the amount of $100,000.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Bunny.
Okay.
Discussion?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Ms. Naheda,
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Item 6.2, discussion and action on the approval of a memorandum of agreement with Socorro Independent School District in the amount of $39,104.
Move to approve?
Second.
Discussion?
What is this one for? It just says MOU, but I know there's the backup. Somebody remind me?
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. Yeah, the agreement between EPCC and Socorro provides the EMT training for the high school districts.
Thank you.
Call the question?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Ms. Naheda,
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Abstain?
Section 7, Student Services. Item 7.1 will be discussed after executive session. Item 7.2, discussion and action on the approval of continuing education tuition rates for new courses.
Motion to approve?
We have- Any discussion? Now call the question?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Ms. Naheda,
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Item 7.3, discussion and action. Did I miss that one? We already did this one right here. This one. Discussion and action on the approval of continuing education tuition rates for revised courses.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Mr. Uxer,
Aye.
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez,
Aye.
Ms. Naheda,
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Section 8, Community Services, there are none. Would the board like to go into executive session at this time?
Yes, ma'am. And the time is 5:58.
The Board of Trustees may conduct an executive or closed session pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code for one or more of the following reasons. 1, consultation with its attorney to seek or receive legal advice or consultation regarding pending or contemplated litigation or for any purpose authorized by law. 2, discussion about the value or transfer of real property. 3, discussion about a prospective gift or donation. 4, consideration of specific personnel matters. 5, discussion about security, personnel, or devices. Or 6, discussion of certain economic development matters. The board may also announce that it will go into executive session on any item listed on this agenda if the subject matter is permitted for a closed session by provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Any vote regarding these items shall be taken in open session. Item 1.3.1, discussion with legal counsel regarding proposed state legislation related to policies, procedures, programs, and initiatives of the college and related matters pursuant to Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. Item 1.3.2, discussion with legal counsel regarding exchange of real property located immediately adjacent to the Mission Del Paso campus between the college and County of El Paso pursuant to Section 551.072 of the Texas Government Code. Item 1.3.3, discussion with legal counsel regarding purchase offer of real estate located at the Mission Del Paso campus pursuant to Section 551.072 of the Texas Government Code. Item 1.3.4, discussion with legal counsel regarding lease negotiations with Texas Tech University for the public television station pursuant to Section 551.072 of the Texas Government Code. Item 1.3.5, discussion with legal counsel regarding the lease agreement between the college and Fort Bliss pursuant to Section 551.072 of the Texas Government Code. Item 1.3.6, discussion with legal counsel regarding El Paso Electric Substation at the College Northwest Campus pursuant to Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. Item 1.3.7, discussion with legal counsel regarding a charitable grant to the college from the National Philanthropic Trust pursuant to Section 551.073 of the Texas Government Code. And discussion with legal counsel on accepting a grant from the State of Texas Office of the Governor in the amount of $131,200. The time is 6 o'clock, and the board is now in executive session.
Okay, we're back from executive session, and it is 7:46. And we have 1.35, right?
We'll start with 1.9.1.
1.9.1, right.
Item 1.9.1, discussion and take possible action regarding proposed state legislation related to policies, procedures, programs, and initiatives of the college and related matters.
We have no action.
Okay. Item 1.9.2, discussion and action to adopt a resolution by the Board of Trustees to authorize the college president or his designee to execute a law enforcement certification and assurance form for a grant for body shields and to take any other related action.
Sanchez?
Motion to approve?
We have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the question?
Aye.
Mr. Uxer has responded aye. Ms. Sanchez? Ms. Naheda?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Okay. Item 1.9.3, discussion and action to adopt a resolution by the Board of Trustees to create endowment funds regarding the charitable grant to the college from the National Philanthropic Trust and authorize the college president or his designee to take any other related action.
No action.
And we have one more. Item 7.1.
7.1. 7.1.
Item 7.1, discussion and action on accepting a grant from the State of Texas Office of the Governor in the amount of $131,200.
Move to approve?
We have a second?
Second.
Mr. Uxer, second.
Call the question, please. Any discussion?
Mr. Uxer.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Naheda.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Okay.
Next board meeting is May 24th at 4:30. And don't forget, graduation is May the 12th. Thank you.
Thank you.